International Scissor Sharpeners Association. I have another evaluation. I have a lot of these I've evaluated, and every one is something new I learned myself, or I have to teach you or show you or discover. It never gets old. So if you're new to my channel and you're interested in watching these sharpening evaluations, I have a lot of videos on this. Check out my playlist. And I have a lot of other videos on clipper blade sharpening, shear sharpening, and other types of sharpening. So make sure you subscribe. So when I get these in, and all of these are the same shears, I do the damage, I know who they're coming from, I don't tell you who they are. And the first thing I do, without doing any adjustment or anything, is I pull them out and I test them and see if they cut dry tissue and wet tissue. Now, what that tells me, the dry tissue and wet tissue, tells me whether I have a consistent angle and if the nicks are gone and the burrs are gone. It doesn't necessarily tell me how sharp they are, but it does tell me those things. I can usually kind of feel my thumb to see if they're sharp. And then I'll test them on hair. And that will tell me if the edge is sharp or if it's been rounded over and it's pushing hair. And the two cuts will also tell me, a little bit about whether the screw has been adjusted right. So let's pull out my secret testing paper. Yes, it's a roll of toilet paper. This is not the kind of toilet paper I would use in my bathroom because this is the really, really thin stuff. Can you see me between there? Because the thinner the paper, the easier it is to tear. And I want something that will tear before it cuts. So I'm going to hold it up and I'm going to take these shears out of the little cases. He's actually done a little wrap here, which is a smart idea when you're sending these out, to make sure they don't open up in shipping, because I'm not responsible for what the post office does to these shears. Now this guy is from the United States. Actually he's from the southeast United States, so they didn't have to travel as far. Of course you never know about the post office. And this is the beveled edge. Pulling my thumb out, least pressure possible. And it's not cutting dry. Pulling my thumb out. So I can tell you already the beveled edge did not pass, but we're going to look and figure out why. Cuts dry, and you notice how least pressure possible. Let's see if it cuts wet. 1, 2, 3. 3 squirts. It's not cutting wet. You see that? You see that? So let's find out why. First of all, tension, edge, alignment. The written test got them all right, and that was one of the questions, is about the tension, edge, and alignment. Let's check the tension on these. Tension doesn't look too bad, but watch this. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Loosened up a little bit. For the fun of these, I'm going to click it, let you hear it click. One click, just one click. Let's see if that made a difference. You see that? Pulls at the tip, but that one click difference, well, it's better. It didn't cut there, but it's definitely better. That probably could be a little tighter, but it's, these wiggle, wiggle. Usually I'll try to adjust, because these handles are plastic, I'll adjust these where they don't fall all the way down. Let's see what I'm seeing. Oh wow, we got to zoom in here for you to see this. Okay, let's take a look at this. And I can see some things, some problems already. These will be going back to him so he can try again. So what I'm seeing really quick here, it's like the angle changes from here to here. Let me let you see this. I don't know if you even need it, the magnifier, but I think the magnifier will help. See, it's two different angles right there. Yeah, the burr is he only got an edge from here down. So this area back here he didn't sharpen at all. The serrated side he left alone, and that's fine. Let's see if he's done something weird to the inside of it. The tip looks a little wonky. You see that tip? That looks a little wonky. But the inside looks okay. It's just this crazy part. You see that? Yeah. So, took off a lot of metal here too. Do you see how pointy this one is? Things to redo. Make this a tad tighter. Make sure you've got a consistent angle all the way down. And you don't need to polish it so nicely because well, I mean, you've got the grippy here, so, but just have an angle, you know, consistent one angle all the way down and get the whole blade. And then that tip is super pointy. Round off the tip. So that's what you need to do to fix these. Yeah, I've never really seen anything like that. I mean, that's, you know, you can see it here in this light, right there. Okay, so let's see what's going on with these. First of all, I would call these a beveled edge. He's got, remember the tip pulled, and there's something weird going on with the tip. I want to show you this Rideline. Now, this side is the cutting edge because it's sometimes hard to see in this thing. Okay, do you see how looks like a ride up the back that's not the cutting edge? This is the cutting edge, and you see how it looks like the ride's not going all the way to the edge, but you've got it in the back. It tells me it looks like when the Rideline was done, it was a relaxed Rideline with too much back this way, too much. Either put the pressure here, even though he got that right, but the pressure's on the pivot, it's still, he's doing too much of a motion this way. Now, I'm seeing some strange things going on at the tip, both tips. Let me see which one's the worst. You see the tip? Looks like when he picked it up off the machine, he did a little lift up and took that tip off. I would call this a polished out bevel. I would not call this convex. You see, that's a bevel. There's no two ways about it. That's not convex. See? So I'm going to click these back down one click. So you definitely want them a little tighter. You want to do the Rideline with the pressure over the pivot. I'm going to show you real quick about doing the Rideline because I think that'll make a difference for you. I don't know what system of equipment that you're using, but you've got to do a rounding to get that convex shape. This is a bevel with just kind of polished out the bevel. We need to have that whole surface there. So it kind of depends on what equipment you're using, how you're going to go about doing that, because in this case, I have no idea what you're doing. Let me show you about the Rideline before we close this out. I just happen to have a blade here that I've pulled a burr up on. This is my Nanawa stone 2000 grit. And I did have somebody today tell me that his Megowan stone didn't fit in that slot. Mine fits there, but maybe it's worn down. I don't know, but mine fits there nice. It won't fit this way, but it definitely fits that way. But oh well. So I'm going to wet this good, clean this off, my Megowan stone. And when you do the rod, the pressure has to be here. If you do any kind of a rocking, or you think you're pressing here but your finger's there, do you see? I'm going to lay this here. I don't know if you can see that in the video. Do you see how it bounces up? So that's not a flat rod. The flat rod will be with the pressure here. So I'm pulling it down. And the red Sharpie to mark what you're doing, to see what you're doing, may be helpful to you. So when I do a rod, it's going to be all the way down to the edge. And see, this is, I don't even know what shear this is or what it's from, but I'll let you look at what a correct rod is going to look like. Oh, this is going to look crazy because we were doing serrations on it, so you can see little teeth on it. The idea, you can see the little serrated teeth on it because we were using it for this training, but you see how there's a rod on the cutting edge, which is this side here. So that's what you want to do. The ISSA certification is about you becoming a better sharpener. So I will send these back. I didn't cut any hair with them. Let's see how they cut hair. That's always fun. I'm going to send these back so you can resharpen them. Let's see how they cut hair, because that's all the customers are cutting. They're not cutting tissue. They're not examining with a microscope. And so there's a lot of successful sharpeners that are making some good income, that are doing it. See if I can set the hair where it's in this white area here. You can see what's going on. A lot of successful scissor sharpeners that are making good money, but they're not as good as they could be, and they could lose to competition. So let's just see how these cut. See, your customers probably would say, "Oh yeah, these are fine. These will do," because you see, they're not pushing. Not seeing anything weird going on with the hair cutting. But they're not convex. And then let's see how these cut. Can you see over here against the white? Cut good. I'm in the back. Can you see it pushes in the back? That's because there was no edge put on up to here. But your customers mostly are cutting with the points or cutting from here down. They probably won't notice it, but this is not the best sharpening that you could do. And I think we need to step it up a little bit. So I would like to send them back. And you know, next time I hope this is a short video and we can say, yay, passed and came along well along the way. Oh, I see something else here too before we go. I want you to look at the tip on these convex edges. Yeah, they don't quite meet. See that? See that gap? That's real key. That's real key. So that would pull hair. Now, how do you fix that? One of three ways. Number one, the easiest way maybe would be just to shorten it that little bit. You could trim the bumper, but since this is a screw-in bumper, there's not a lot of room. You could also, on these shears, bend the handle, but you run the risk of breaking them. So in my opinion, I would probably, it's only like maybe 1-2 millimeters to shorten it, and they're not going to notice a difference. And then also would allow you to round them over. So lots of things to learn on these.